Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to another segment of On Point. This is your servant and senator, Carla Joseph, welcoming you to On Point, which is heard every other Tuesday from 6 to 6:30 p.m. here on WSTA 1340 on the AM dial, the People's Station. Well, this is definitely an honor and a privilege for me to have here as my guest the none other than Dr. Malik Sekou. Dr. Sekou is here to join me and to help me celebrate our wonderful VI History Month. And of course, everybody know that Dr. Sekou is a professor at the University of the Virgin Islands, focusing on political science as well as history. Welcome, Dr. Sekou, to On Point.
Good evening, Senator Carla Joseph. We're moving a bit because I realized that we have to make sure I fit it in the screen, so if I lean on your side, I'm not putting pressure on you. I'm just saying a pleasant good evening to everyone. I'm pleased that you're able to have this show of yours, elected officials of this district, and I'm glad that you're able to invite me to be a part of this interesting conversation on Women's History Month, VI History Month, and perhaps it could even be Black History Month in March.
Well, that's really wonderful. We were just having a little bit of issue with our streaming, so I want you to excuse us because we had a little malfunction with my camera, but we're still back on record and on point with everything. So that's a great thing. Now, before we get into our whole discussion regarding Virgin Islands history, I wanted to highlight that it's not only Virgin Islands history, but also Virgin Islands, Women's Month.
That's correct, both.
Women's Month, Virgin Islands history, and Women's Month. And I wanted to highlight and focus a lady that you know, Dr. Sekou, very well, and that is none other than the late Honorable Lorraine Ledee Berry. And just so the listening audience know, she was born on the island of St. Thomas on November 15, 1949. And what inspired her and her interest in not only politics but social justice as a teenager were the words and oratory of a great man, the late Dr. Martin Luther King, when he spoke and his speech on August 8, 1963, I have a dream, and we all have dreams. She dedicated her whole life to majority of her life to public service. She registered as a Democrat and was a Democrat for all of her adult life. She won her first seat in the 15th legislature and began her term of office on January 1983, and she served about 24 years of distinguished service. She also served as a president of the 22nd and 25th legislature. She started off, similar to me, as the chairperson of the Committee on Government Operations, and she also served as the chair for the Committee on Finance, and she was majority leader. She also served as a chair for the Committee on Health, as well as vice president and the chair of the Committee on Public Safety, Judiciary, Homeland Security, and Justice. I also want to note that some of the really key legislation that she left behind as part of her legacy was the Government Financial Accountability Act, the VI EDC program, the creation of the enterprise zone, the enactment of the Hospital and Health Facility Corporation, which led to the semi-autonomy and accreditation of the hospitals on St. Thomas and St. Croix, the Child Protection Act of 2002, also the donated leave, where we as public servant can donate our leave to somebody else when they are actually not heart and they are not, or they are out sick or they're ill. So we have that ability to do that, and that's all because of the groundwork that Senator Berry did. She was a public servant and she served tirelessly advocating for not only women, children, but families in the Virgin Islands. She also started a club within the Democratic Party, the Virgin Islands Democratic Action Committee, VIDAC, and I was a member of VIDAC. I was actually the secretary. So anyone who has her funeral service booklet, you would see that I signed off on that. I wrote our tribute to her, and as well as she also received a lot of recognition and commendation from the community, and that's what I like. And some of those recommendation and commendation occurred while she was alive, and that's something that's critical to me. I think we should always give people their flowers while they're alive. You can appreciate it when you're gone, and your family can't see how wonderful you feel to receive it. When you're a public servant, you just don't serve because you want to be in the press or anything. It's because you have a strong love for your community. And so some of the things that, some of the accolades and professional as well as community recognition that she received was 1997 Rotary Person of the Year, St. Thomas St. John Chapter, Chamber of Commerce, Wilbur M. LaMotta Public Service Award. She also received the Virgin Islands Commission on Status of Women Award. She was inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame in 2007. And this is one of the things I really want to highlight. One of her recognition is the Ordre National du Mérite Award from Jacques Chirac. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Jacques Chirac, former president of France. A whole nation recognized her for all the work she did in the Virgin Islands. And we would remember that she passed away on July 19, 2020, and because of this resolution that was sponsored, I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, by former Senator, the Honorable Jeanette Millen Young, as well as former Senator Sean Michael Malone, the legislative complex, which houses our legal counsel and other legislative offices, were renamed the Lorraine L. Berry Legislative Annex, and it today still bears her name. And this all was done as part of a resolution and a bill, rather, that passed in the 29th legislature during its regular session in 2011. Is now known as Act 7324. That's Act number 7324. So I want to just say I am very deeply appreciative for this great lady who served with distinction and just a level of poise and respect for the place that she was serving and the people that she was serving. She was always humble. You could talk to her about anything and she would have a good response and she would look into it. She was really a woman of a word, and at least in my encounters with her, and to be admired as such. So I just want to say again, for Women's Month, and for Virgin Islands History Month, we want to recognize and really commend that trailblazer, the late Honorable Lorraine L. Berry. Now, Dr. Sekou.
Yes.
You are my guest this evening, and we still have a good 20 minutes or so to talk. Yes. And I know you're good at talking. You're not in the frame of my video, so you need to just over a little bit because we're doing a podcast. I don't bite.
I know.
Okay, and I'm very respect.
I want to lean on you this way.
Okay, that's okay. You can lean on me. Okay, that's okay. We don't lean on each other because you're a respectful gentleman. Yes. At least in my experience. You've always been that way. And, you know, we go way back
Yes, correct.
from Youth Build,
Yes.
when I was a part of the Youth Build program, manager actually, and we called you in about the same topic, Virgin Islands History Month. So tell us and tell the listening audience, what work do you do at the University of the Virgin Islands?
First, I'm a professor, and I'm letting the audience know this is water, not rum or vodka. I'm a professor. This year will mark 25 years I've been teaching full time. I've served as a professor, chair, a dean for a short period of time. I have been involved with the status commission, rather the status activity, constitutional issues. I've been involved with a number of issues based in UVI. I'm considered one of the senior faculty there. That means I'm ready to retire. If I have it my way, it might not take too long from now.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, and I'll be like other people going to the Brewers Bay and swimming and growing pigeon peas.
Oh my goodness!
But I want to start off by saying that Senator Joseph, you're too modest. I would say all of our female elected figures are historic figures by the very nature of your role. The Virgin Islands has a political system that has that contradiction, which means that the men tend to dominate, but the women make the difference. Without female supporters, female voters, female fundraisers, no male politician can ever become successful. So up until fairly recently, up until the 1990s, the women in the Virgin Islands political system tended to be the support base. And by 2000, there was a shift. So if you think of Senator Berry, she'd be a Saint-Thomian of French Caribbean origin. We call them Frenchies in St. Thomas, but I'm told French is not the word we use anyway. It's a French Caribbean person. So Senator Berry is a French Caribbean person, born here, and she informed me that her father was born in St. Kitts. You know, St. Bart's is an island in south of us that has a population of people of ethnic French origin who've lived there for several generations. And I think 100 years ago, there was a major shift in population due to a drought, where many of the French population went to some went to St. Martin, some went to St. Kitts, a handful went to Montserrat, and many came to St. Thomas. And those who came to St. Thomas either settled in North Side, that's I'm pointing behind me,
right?
North Side,
that's the north of us,
or Frenchtown,
and which is to the east of us,
that's
right
correct,
here.
That's correct. And many of the Frenchtown Frenchies intermarried with the black population, so that today, when a person say Frenchie in Frenchtown, it could be any complexion, anybody. But the North Side French people tended to, I guess, find a way of intermarrying among themselves, and so they have a distinct community of French people. So her mother was born here, her father was born in St. Kitts, came as a young man, and then that's the basis of her family. And she informed me that when she was fairly young, as a young mother, she became a very active parent in the Joseph Sibley School. I think
that is correct. I read that.
It was called John Herrick, I think was the name. It was before Sibley was called some other.
It was called Robert Merrick School.
Oh, Robert Merrick. Oh, Lord, tear the name up. So she was involved, and she said to me personally that she was inspired by Earl B. Adley. Earl B. Adley told her that you're so passionate, you're so loyal, like how you are, Senator Joseph. She said he told her she should run for office. In those days, she was working with Randy Lugo, and she wasn't quite sure.
Yes.
Then she decided to run.
And then she was a mother, too.
That's correct. That's correct. Wife. With 3 children.
What?
Yes, with 3 children. So she said when she ran for office, she was fairly young. See the comparison? She said when she ran the first time, the night of the election was the old system where the votes were paper ballots.
Right.
And the votes didn't come from St. John, and she lost.
Okay.
She told me she stayed one bawling and crying.
Oh,
she said she was devastated until the ferry came in and she won.
What? St. John put her there.
That's correct. She never, and she said because of that, she always campaigned in St. John to Coral Bay. She said she never.
I go out there too. I go way out in Coral Bay.
And for good measure too. And she also learned the power of absentee ballots.
Yeah? I know about it. I know about it. I was there. I got a lick from her power of absentee ballots. This would have been in what year? a 1998
Mhm.
election.
Mhm.
No, a lie. 2000 election. Got a lick from it because I was a chief of staff for the late, again, another late giant, George E. Goodwin. So I know she has that power. So and that's a really great conversation. And so when we focus on her and also just looking at our history and Virgin Islands history, we know based on what we've read that the Arawaks and Carib and Taínos, Indians are some of the original people here in this region. Tell us briefly about the sites and relic that exists and the existence of our original islanders today.
Well, first thing, there are a number of known, let's call them known archaeological sites.
Mm-hmm.
One right in front of us, Water Island. There was a site we discovered when we were improving Main Street.
Yes.
Main Street.
Mm-hmm.
Megan's Bay, Hull Bay, in St. John, Cinnamon Bay,
Mm-hmm.
Coral Bay, and we observed in St. Thomas, also in St. Croix in Salt River Bay.
Okay.
What we realized is that the Taínos had a practice of focusing on bays and beaches that were close to the water because they use the water to canoes to basically go from place to place. The Caribs, however, because they're more warlike, they prefer to have their villages on the hillsides.
So they could overlook
That's
and see
correct.
who was coming in.
So they could coop.
Yeah. Surveillance.
Now, in some cases, when the Caribs recently seized a village, they would be in a local village, like in Salt River when Columbus came the second time. He found Caribs, but the Caribs had recently seized the village from Taínos. So the women would be Taíno women, the men were Caribs. Because the Caribs had a practice, some say that Caribbean men still have today, which is they would eliminate the men and keep the women.
Oh, well, for procreation.
Yes.
For procreation.
So when the White Island happened, Senator, they see some rival guys.
So what they used to do with the children? They used to adapt the children. Okay.
Adapt the children. And so that island happened the way they were able to travel so rapidly is to see, like for instance, the Caribs were in St. Croix and they came to St. Thomas, the men. They see all the Maliks. Get rid of the Maliks, kill them.
Oh, cheese and bread. That's not good.
All the Carlas we keep.
Oh my goodness. No, the Maliks will be my brothers. I'm going to be so distraught.
Well,
I would be distraught if they destroyed my big brothers. I would be very distraught. I would have to do something to get back at them.
But I would like to say something. Many people in the Caribbean may not know this, but many of us inherit the genes of Taínos and Caribs. A lot of Dominicans have Carib ancestry. One of your colleagues, well, he may not have been a colleague when you came on board, but Senator Lewis Hill was classified legally as a Carib. And when he was Senate president, he used to joke and say that the people who tend to go back to Dominica don't realize that the Caribbean is named after Caribs. And he's a Carib, so the whole Caribbean is his.
One of my daughters, she also could trace her origin, her grandmother and the like, because she's from Dominica. To that, her mother was showing me her grandmother actually was showing me one of the pictures of their family, and they have that kind of gene. It's very powerful, you know.
I was their father, and I have cousins like V, and Golden is a cousin of mine. Her maternal roots is Boricua, Puerto Rican, and the Puerto Ricans also say they are mixed Taíno, African, and Spanish. So they say every Boricua, all Puerto Ricans claim Taíno heritage.
Wow, that's a powerful thing.
Yeah, now I would say that earlier today I heard in a radio program someone speaking about how black people can claim indigenous heritage in this hemisphere. And I'm very careful with how to discuss that because there's a distinction. There are those people in this hemisphere who we call Indians or Amerindians who the world classify as indigenous to this hemisphere. And there are people of African origin, like you and I, clearly. Africa is where we came from. But then others will say, oh, well, before there were even humanity throughout the world, we all live in Africa. That's true in one sense, in the anthropological. We mean in the sense of culturally speaking. So culturally speaking, even though a person may be of an island or grandparents from an island, once you live in our society for over a decade, you become acculturated. So people who are not born in the VI but raised here. They learn to speak how we speak, learn to eat the foods, do the dances, learn our good ways and don't learn our bad ways.
Try not to, my goodness. I would say try not to learn our bad ways.
That's correct. People who come from abroad, Senator, and they can learn our good ways and not know how to cuss like us and be bad as us, they're helping us. But if they bring their bad ways and our bad ways combined, we're in trouble.
We're in trouble. We don't keep it positive. We
correct.
are going to keep it positive. So I like that conversation. And we're talking about a mixture because, you know, the Virgin Islands is a melting pot of the Caribbean. Undisputably. So we're talking about people and our Black people, Tainos. So tell me, the month of February, as you recall, was Black History Month. And we have some great trailblazers from the Virgin Islands here who fought for freedom. Any of them that you could name of great significance who from the Virgin Islands fought for our freedom, fought for our rights, even in the civil rights movement, even as women that you could really think of?
So many, but I want to zero in on Rachel Francis.
Ooh, he's an unsung hero, huh?
Yes, and why? Because with this constitutional discussion, as you know, your body, the 35th legislature, has approved of the 6th constitutional convention.
It was in the 34th.
Yes, but y'all tweaked it.
We tweaked it a little bit and we're going to do a little bit tweaking just to get sure that we have a full
And I will say this publicly.
array.
I'm thanking you. I have a special thanks for Senate President Noble Francis for tweaking it in a way that wasn't controversial. In fact, he tweaked it. I didn't even know it was tweaked, you know.
You're going to get a little tweak again.
Tweak it because I don't think we really appreciate what we have in the Virgin Islands. I don't think, yes, we can improve, and we will improve this political system, this society, but this is ours.
Exactly.
I don't know how to say it.
Say it again.
This
belongs to us. We
Senator, no one is going to come from away and fix this place for us.
Well, who could fix it?
Nobody will fix it.
This is my position, and always we are our solution.
That's
we have
correct.
people here. We just need to work together, you know,
That's correct.
and communicate
That's correct.
truthfully
That's correct.
and timely. You got timely notice about being here?
Yes. Keisha made sure, Miss Wallace, that's her name, Keisha Blind Wallace.
Yes.
She made sure, even you here, Miss Levans, she said, oh, they're looking for you. Who looking for me to legislature? Why do
if it's
know?
something I have, right? I like us to be timely and respectful. I try to do that. That's what I was taught. That's a good thing, I think.
I want to say this for Rachel Francis. Let me time myself. For Rachel Francis, what makes him great wasn't that he was a perfect person. Rachel Francis and all of our heroes who emerged in the early 1900s emerged at a time in history when just being African was a curse. It was illegal for Black people in the entire planet to have power when Rachel Francis was alive, to be fully empowered. I remember Winnie Mandela, she was interviewed and they were asking about her life, and she said to the reporter, they don't understand how it is to be legally perceived as an animal. Racism, whether it's Jim Crow in the United States, whether it's the Danish form of racism, wherever racism exists, people of African origin were perceived to be animals, subhuman, to fight a system that has that as its law, its ethos, its worldview, its philosophy, to seek power, to fight, to go to court with a judicial system controlled by the U.S. Navy, lose the case, then have to leave. And he left behind a bunch of children. One of his grandsons, Attorney Mutiliwa, told me when his grandfather left, he couldn't look back. Not because he wanted to abandon his children, but he was told he could not come back to the Virgin Islands.
What? Where he was born in?
That's correct. See,
that is
an exile.
Oh my God, he was suffering.
No, people in the VA, you tell them to leave the VA today. That's not an exile. If they go to the States and say, I gone Babylon, I gone Bab, they might feel that's a good thing, but he wanted to stay. He had to leave. But his work to insist and force a civilian government that was democratic, and he wanted to use the best features of American democracy. the mindset of those in that era was, let us look at American society and pick what is good and what is bad, throw it away.
Yes.
No one in the Virgin Islands those days wanted to imitate Jim Crow. They didn't want the bad. They want the best America could provide, apply it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So that was his view. He promoted a civilian government. It was granted when he was gone in 1931, with Parliament Pearson being the first civilian governor, and he promoted the concept. Parliament Pearson, he promoted the concept that we must adopt the best form of territorial government, and thus we had the Organic Act of 1936.
And then the revised
Act of 1954. And
which
we ever
still
since
use.
then, but we changed it to, we reformed it, but now we decide it's time to move on. We could do better than this.
Of course, I agree. And, that in itself is some of the issues that we want to really focus on with the convention that's coming up. We really want to try to see. I remember when I was really young, I was 10 years old in 1980, and we had a constitutional convention then. And my class, I was in 5th grade. And
you remember it?
Yeah, I remember. I'm telling you, I had really great teachers at Joseph Gomez Elementary School, and we were having major discussions in our class. And you remember, I'm 10, about this constitutional convention and laying it out how we have. Why we need to have a constitution and the like, and how it would help us to better govern ourselves and move forward. I am always very disturbed that we haven't been able to come together and agree. It is us. We are fighting against our own, and my other issue is that we to eat our young, alive. Yeah. And not me. And in speaking with that, because our time is really short, I have about 2 more minutes. If I could propose something regarding our young people, I have my 4th annual St. Thomas St. John Middle School art competition. We as human beings, we get inspired by art. And so is the Black and Virgin Islands History Month art competition. This is the 4th annual, and you can go at my website, senatorcarlajoseph.com, for the art rules. The winners from since 2021 have all been females. Rhonda Walsh, she attended the Seventh-day Adventist school. Ariel St. Paul, Bertha Sieber Shelter School, and last year winner was Ava Daniel, and she was also from BCB. And speaking of children, tomorrow at the Rules Committee meeting, I have 2 bills on the agenda. One is Bill 35-0226, which is going to increase the minimum default child support from $250 to $1,000 for the first child and $150 for the second child. This is for people who don't come in. Again, we put in our children them first, right? Who don't come in and provide the required documentation to the child support. They don't come to the hearing. This is an underground economy. They don't want to pay their fair share to take care of their children, who then becomes, and who are our children, and create a burden on our community. And so it's very distressing to see that we have a number of young people based on these kids count that are in poverty, and this is because they have a non-custodial parent who refuses to even come to the hearing, or are operating on the underground economy and can't provide tax returns or any check stubs to show how much income they're bringing into their home. So that's one. And of course, the next one is Bill number 35-0223, which honors a great religious man. He's a family man, and I tell you, this man take care of his children, and is none other than the Bishop Dr. William A. Industrious, to name a street in his honor. He worked tirelessly, winning souls for salvation and turning them around at no cost. He's done so much outreach. A lot of people really can attest to how great this gentleman is. And moreover, when he was serving, and he's still doing it now at the age of 95. Imagine that. He had open heart surgery and everything. And if you see this gentleman, he is walking on his own, have everything intact. That's a good work. Okay, the Bible, I consider it the truth. Okay, what is there to prepare you for life. And so he could attest to that. So we definitely want to really give him some honor and his flowers while he is on top of this earth. He goes out to homeless people, feeding them as part of his church, and that's their mission. And he doesn't get paid for it. He transport people in his own, he's a taxi man, transport them in his own safari or vehicle, and he doesn't ask for any payment. All he asks is for us to be good. And he didn't even ask for this recognition.
And his name again is what?
His name is Bishop Dr. William A. Industrious. Okay, so he just celebrated his 95th birthday on March 3rd. So we are going to have those two bills. We're going to be closing out. So any last words from you, Doctor? You're a doctor too. Dr. Malik Sekou.
I so know you as Carla. I'm afraid not to be too familiar.
Man, you could call me Carla. We go back way back.
I know, but I don't want to think Malik. He said he can't call her by her right name, Senator Joseph.
Well, you know how our elders are very good at stickler for that.
Yeah.
So we gotta respect them because they're listening in.
Well, I'm impressed with this proposal, this bill about child support. I believe you may have to explain. I don't think our people understand how important this legislation is. When you make sure a child is properly fed, you prevent, or rather you dissuade the mother from looking to unwise decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Many women get caught up in unwise decisions because of desperation.
Yes, they have to fight. They have to feed a child.
That's correct. And so
provide.
by doing that, you allow the mom less jobs to have and not get involved in abusive relationships or negligent situation. You let the mom be a good mom. And we need to encourage fathers that the extra you put in it helps your child, it helps the community, and you help. Praise God.
Amen. Right. Oh, what? You get. And this is for people, yes, this isn't for the persons who complies, This is for the people who refuse to come in and provide the documentation because they don't want to take care of their child and their responsibility. You ever hear anything like that? But anyhow, I want everyone to really, and I want to thank you so much, Dr. Sekou, for being here with me this evening. And I also want to remind persons to definitely go on my website, carlajoseph.com, to senatorcarlajoseph.com for the art rules, and visit me on my website. Subscribe, like, and follow me on Facebook and on Instagram. Our next program is scheduled for, I think it's April 3rd. And so with that, we will be having a fantastic guest on that day. And we want to be able to have her join us and tell us. But I also want to be... April 2nd. Thank you. My able assistant, she's great. Right, April 2nd is the next show. But I also want to really encourage you to continue to listen in to On Point. On Point, it can be heard every other Tuesday here from 6 to 6:30 p.m. And I want to thank my staff and my campaign committee, Joseph Action Committee, for all that they do. Right here on the WSTA radio, On Point. So together, let's stay on point, Virgin Islands, and God bless.
I so used to looking to see